Hi everyone, welcome into this week's My Weekly CBS Fix. This week's video is dedicated as a refuah shlema for my father, Shlomo ben Gittel, who Baruch Hashem had a successful kidney transplant. Refuah shlema to you, and also refuah shlema to the donor. You know who you are. We owe you a tongue. In this week's Parsha is Toldos. So Isaac, our forefather, and his wife Rivka are trying to have children. 20 years has gone by, and finally they have twins, Yaakov and Esav. And the Torah tells us that they grew up, and Esav became a man, a trapper, a man of the field, and Yaakov was an Ishtam Yoshev Ahalim, a man, a simple person, or a complete person, two different translations, but a man of Ahalim, somebody that sat and learned in the tent. That's all. That was his chief occupation, was to sit and learn. Yet, even though that's what he wanted to do, Hashem had other plans for him, because eventually, this fight broke out between he and his brother. He had to run away, and his father sent him to his uncle's house. And he went there to his mother's brother, Lavan, and over there he tried finding a wife, and he had to work over there for 20 years. And he was sitting out in the fields working and tending sheep. Now, this is certainly not the plan that Yaakov Avinu had in mind. Now, we have to know, however, that great people become great through being squeezed out. And Hashem knows what's inside. And sometimes having to leave the tent of Torah can actually bring out the best in a person. And what I mean is that Yaakov had to figure out how to deal with this person, Lavan, who was a swindler, his uncle. And even though his mindset was one of, hey, I'd rather go learn, but nevertheless, he grew stronger through the trials and tests that he went through. And of course, this is a lesson for us as well. Sometimes we have a specific goal in mind, and then Hashem has other plans, and we feel that those goals are being frustrated, but they're not. They're really there to test us and to see what we are really made of. Sometimes when we're in an in-between stage and we have that struggle, that's really defines who we are, and that lets us know what's really in our DNA and who we really are. Now, even though it brought out the best from him and it's being tested, nevertheless, the Torah still calls him an Ishtam. Why? And this is the main point I want to share out with you. The Torah still calls him a Yoshev Ahalim, somebody who sits in the tents. Because what that means is that his default setting the whole time was one of wanting to go back to the synagogue and study. That means when you have free time, take today, for example. Today's Thanksgiving. Now, what do people do on a day like today? So we know that what people who are not really interested in Torah study do, there's a void. You have to fill that void with different pastimes, whether it's football, whether it's food, whether it's sleeping. Meaning, people have to ask them, what is my default setting? If it was up to me and I didn't have to work, what would I do? Would I waste my life away? Or would I eventually try to do something that can help people and make people's lives better? Or would I go traveling, and would I do painting, and would I do everything else but actually have a goal in life and try to succeed in something? I'm not saying painting is a bad thing, but painting should be there to support whatever life's goal that you actually have, not that the painting in and of itself, unless you can make $1 million from it. But I just mean that people busy themselves with hobbies, and the Torah is telling us that Yaakov Avinu was an Ishtam, and so therefore, if you're a person that wants to learn Torah, but you have to go out to work, nevertheless, you could still call yourself an Ishtam, because when you get back from work, if it's back to the synagogue that you go to go and study, and you're not interested in the different pastimes and all the other things that people do to waste time and fill voids, and you have to know that you're also following the footsteps of Jacob. As even though he wasn't able to be in the tents of Torah anymore, nevertheless, the Torah still says that he was an Ishtam Yoshev Ahalim. He was that simple person. At the same time, he was a complete person. He was complete in his mind because of where he wanted to be. So what do you want more? Do you want to be a person that has that goal? Or do you want a person, I don't really have a goal, I don't really need to go anywhere, I don't really need to do something. So let's be like Yaakov, who was the righteous person, and Hashem certainly wants us to emulate him. So again, even though you're being tested, that brings out who you are, but at the same time, while you're being tested, what is your default? What are you trying to do, and how can you accomplish that goal? Have a great Shabbos. Thank you for listening.